What do you think are the pros and cons of self-publishing compared to traditional publishing? And I'll go through them pretty quickly, and this is not exhaustive. There's probably even more pros and cons, but these are the ones that I think of first when I think about traditional publishing versus self-publishing. So, and I have notes here, that's why I keep glancing this way, in case you're wondering. So, a pro with traditional publishing, especially if you get one of the big five publishers, is there's a lot of prestige that comes with that. And the reason there's prestige is it's very hard to get one of those traditional publishers. And so when you do, it's a big deal. So there's prestige. Many of the big publishers are also very well connected to bookstores, and so the print distribution of your book is easier when you're with a traditional publisher because they already have all those connections. The other benefit of traditional publishing is that most have an established professional team that can edit your book, create the cover design, all of that. So you're really in good hands when you get a traditional publishing deal. And how you can tell if you're getting a traditional publishing deal is that there are no upfront costs. So if you are having to pay for a publisher that is not a traditional publishing house. And so if it is, there are no upfront costs, and often they will give you an advance against your royalties. So for years, I thought that authors just got free money when a publishing house bought their book, but that's not accurate. What they're giving is an advance. So they, depending on how well they think your book will do, they have tons of data with other books, with the market, all of that. And so when they give you an advance, it's against your future royalties. So let's say they give you 10,000, then that 10,000 you would not get later with royalties because you got it in advance. And then you'd get royalties once you've passed that 10,000. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. I think growing up watching movies, I thought it was free money. But it's actually, they're giving you almost like an act of faith. Like, we think your book's going to sell a lot, so here's, 10,000, 20,000, and then that will be part of the royalties that you get from your book. So those are the pros. A few cons of self-publishing: you do lose creative control. So you may be able to share your opinion, give your ideas, but ultimately, when the publisher buys the rights to publish your book, they get to decide the cover, the font, all those details, and so you do lose some of that creative control. Traditional publishing can take a while. They have their timelines, their launch schedules, and so it can be a slow process. There's also lower royalty rates. So I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I want to say it's like 20-30% royalty is what you will get with a traditional publisher. And then there's a lack of significant marketing help. So I think sometimes when we're thinking about this, self-publishing or traditional, we wish that we could just not think about marketing, not building our brand, not putting ourselves out there. But even if you traditionally publish, there's not a ton of marketing help, and you will need to market yourself, market your book, which you are in a great group to learn how to do that. So go you. And then another con is that you will have a contract with that publishing house, and so you really need to read it through, know what's included, what rights they have, what rights you retain. That's kind of a con. It could be a pro, but it just make sure you read your contracts. You have an agent representing you, you trust, so you know what you're agreeing to. Okay, now to self-publishing, which is my favorite. And a pro for self-publishing is you have total creative control. So you get to pick the cover, you get to decide the editing, all the different pieces. And then, so you're very empowered as an author. You can also go through the process rather quickly. You have higher royalties, especially if you're on Amazon. I think it's 70%. You can sell in any global market but still retain the rights. If you do it with excellence, you can really build a brand, a business for yourself, not just with your books, but with other things that you offer, other things that you do. Now, a con with self-publishing, my throat's a little dry, so I need a deep breath. I tend to talk kind of fast, and I'm like, oh, I'm drying out my throat. So a few cons with self-publishing is you still need professional help. Most of us are not trained in graphic design, trained in formatting books, trained in editing our books. And so to really make your books excellent, you will probably need professional help for some part of the process. The other con is there's not a prestige for self-publishing. Thankfully, the stigma of self-publishing is going away, but it's not as hard to self-publish as it is to get a traditional deal. And so there isn't the same prestige as when you get a traditional deal. And then one more con is you do still need a budget to self-publish, whether it's for your editor, your cover designer. Self-publishing is not free if you want to do it well. And then it can also be difficult to get distribution. So that's kind of an overview, some of the pros, some of the cons.